Part 62. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 629. Hurry, hurry up, keep the formation and don't mess up. There are still many people lined up behind you, and every minute and second is precious now. Don't bring anything with you except your personal belongings. Once you arrive at the place, all food and supplies will be distributed by the kingdom. In the turbulent flow of people, the Alal soldiers standing on various high platforms kept shouting similar words with the loudspeakers in their hands. The transport ships that came back and forth transported a large number of Alal's people to the skyward sword. The civilians of Alals who had not yet boarded the heavenly sword looked at the compatriots who had boarded the god's battleship with envious eyes. Although the Tianjian has a huge size of more than 10 kilometers, it cannot transport all the Alal's people at once, even if it is added with the transport ship that Alal's has processed and added. Evacuating an entire planet is easy to say, but only if you do it will you know how difficult it is, not to mention that the total population of Alal's is hundreds of millions. The Tianjian can only carry 1 million people at a time, and this is after most of the internal space is filled, because the Tianjian is not a transport warship, but a standard strategic level warship of the angel civilization, standing for battle angels. 50,000. Before Binghua left the planet of Alal's, he went to contact the Merlot Heavenly Court. After uploading the electronic soul storage unit technology, Binghua connected to his car, the Heavenly Sword. Merlot Heavenly Court did not prevent the Heavenly Sword from setting sail, because since Binghua stepped down as the Holy Left Wing, the Heavenly Sword was sealed by her successor, the second-generation Holy Left Wing. In Ran's words, this is the Queen's vehicle, and only the Queen is qualified to drive it. However, Ran built a new Sky Blade as his own vehicle. After the Tianjian's internal automatic navigation system was activated, Tiangang released its seal and restrictions, and Binghua also told Merlot Heavenly Court that he now needed the help of the Tianjian. However, although Binghua was pleased with Ran's move to lead the angels to help, she refused. She has now retired. If Ran really led the angel army to help her, it would be tantamount to openly provoking the rules of angel civilization. When Kesha promulgated the retirement law, she made it clear that unless the retired angel warriors were in danger of life, Merlot Heavenly Court would not provide any other help other than supplies. This is mainly to prevent retired angels from taking advantage of the reputation of angel civilization. Of course, Binghua believes that as long as he opens his mouth, Kesha will definitely send angels to help Alal's. But this is not what Binghua wants to see. He finally made up his mind to leave the angel civilization and entrust his future to the young angel warriors. This must not be done halfway. Therefore, Binghua did not even send his position to the Merlot Heavenly Court, but directly and remotely used the intelligence system of the Tianjian to jump to the Chaos Star territory. So far, Binghua has gained full control of Tianjian. Of course, in the absence of a large number of operating angels, Tianjian Binghua can only barely activate it through the Tianjian computing cloud, unable to exert its full capabilities. In the entire angel civilization, only the current 3 kings of angels can possess this level of ability, because whether it is Binghua, Hexi, or Kesha, they all have an unusual understanding of the Sky Blade battleship. If there are sufficient resources and raw materials, the 3 kings can create a new Sky Blade just by relying on the knowledge in their minds, so it is not difficult for them to drive the Sky Blade. Binghua connected to the Tianjian computing cloud and relied on the computing power of the supercomputer to support it. Then he launched the Tianjian and began to transfer the Alal's people to a planet a few light years away that had not yet given birth to intelligent life, named Nuai, on the planet of Lors, and relied on the technology in the Tianjian to create a safe zone on it. After expelling the native species, the Finger used the Tianjian's naval cannon to blast out a flat land. After a few days of traveling back and forth, Alal's also started infrastructure construction there and mobilized everyone to start building their own temporary homes. When Binghua made an unknown number of round trips, and there were still millions of people on Aerols who had not yet been transferred, the Tianjian's detection system sounded a piercing alarm. Multiple space fluctuations have been detected. It is expected that the unknown battleship group will arrive in the Alal's planetary system in 10 minutes. Binghua, who was sitting on the throne and controlling the entire skyward sword, frowned slightly when he heard this, his eyes glowing with white light and his beautiful eyebrows frowned slightly. He knew without even thinking that they must be eternal ascended ones, and they came quite quickly. By coincidence, the location was exactly where he had destroyed the Purifier fleet before, and judging from the scale of the jump, there were at least 10 Purifier fleets. If the Tianjian does not need to carry the remaining Alal's people, then Binghua will definitely control the Tianjian to get closer and give these Purifier fleets a grand meeting ceremony first. Time passed as Binghua weighed his gains and losses. In the end, Binghua could only coldly control the Tianjian to leave the surface of Alal's, leaving behind millions of Alal civilians below. In a short while, I will use the heavenly sword to open a giant insect gate in the capital, allowing the people in the capital to leave through the insect gate. I will block those eternal ascendants. But I don't know how long I can resist them with the firepower of the Tianjian, so you don't have enough time. Qi, who was still in the capital at this moment, looked at the Tianjian that quickly rose into the sky and understood the current situation, so he didn't say anything more. The Tianjian quickly came to anchor outside the Alal star, and then a giant insect gate with a width of more than 100 meters appeared in the center of the Alal's capital. Qi immediately organized the transfer, and like a long queue, he quickly poured into the insect gate. At the same time, Binghua also quickly began to calculate the jump of the Tianjian. Be prepared to locate the nearby desolate star field in advance to avoid the embarrassing situation of being unable to make a jump due to being entangled by the Eternal Ascended One. Fortunately, there is still some time before the arrival of the Eternal Ascended Ones, which is enough for Binghua to complete the advance calculation of the jump and prepare a star-killing strike to give the Eternal Ascending One's fleet a good start. 10 minutes later, dozens of tiny space cracks appeared in the originally silent starry sky, and then exploded, turning into a circular space warp gate, with blue energy light and shadow continuously shooting out from its interior. After the energy light and shadow exploded, the metal hulls of the same style as the Purifier and the Guard Annihilator were revealed. There were also some battleships with unknown functions that were not recorded in the Angel database. However, as soon as the Eternal Ascended One's Purification Fleet group appeared, they were greeted by a bombardment of terrifying energy that was even more dazzling than the stars. In an instant, the raging energy storm spread, and several Purifier warships located at the center of the explosion were immediately vaporized by the violent energy. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 630. Other Purifier and Annihilator warships also suffered damage of varying sizes. It can be said that Binghua's long-prepared Star Destroyer strike caused great losses to the Purifier fleet group. However, the Purifier fleet group quickly regrouped and launched a raging attack on the Sky Sword. The Purifier beams mercilessly bombarded the Sky Sword's space-time deflection shield. For a moment, several dazzling lights lit up on the space-time deflection shield, and the strength of the Tianjian's shield began to decrease. Binghua looked unhappy when he saw this. Because the Purifier's flagship weapon is a type of energy weapon that continuously irradiates, the damage is not intermittent, and it is the type that continuously accumulates damage. This will undoubtedly increase the load on the space-time deflection shield, and the originally expected resistance time will be reduced. But don't think that the Tianjian can't fight back. The light in Binghua's eyes is brighter than ever. She just operates the weapons on the Tianjian. She can do such a trivial thing even without the operating angel. For a moment, the orbital turrets of the Skyward Sword, which were originally in standby mode, began to move their muzzles. The next moment, a luminous spear ray shot out and bombarded the Purifier fleet group. The Skyward Sword's firepower alone is more ferocious than a purifier fleet. From time to time, the energy shield of an Annihilator battleship will be shattered by a spear of light, and the next luminous spear that follows will destroy it. The hulls of the ships were blasted through each other. For a moment, the purifier had no choice but to continue to increase the load on the Tianjian's shield. Although this method was very slow in effect, it undoubtedly hit Binghua's current sore spot. That is the lack of means to divert and destroy these purifier flagships. The effect of just using the spear of light to attack the flagships of these Eternal Ascended Ones is not ideal. Compared with those Annihilator battleships that are only used for escort and deportation defense, the Purifier flagship can be regarded as an all-round Eternal Ascension combat unit. They have the ability to independently produce other combat sequence units besides themselves. They are also the command hub of a battlefield and are also equipped with purification ray cannons. This is a powerful energy weapon that can be fired continuously. As long as there is enough time, a planet can be penetrated by it. It is often the main attack method used by the Eternal Ascended to purify the planet. Currently, there are at least 10 purifier flagships that are continuously irradiating the Tianjian with purification rays. Less than 10 minutes after the battle started, the shield strength of the Tianjian has almost dropped to less than half. Binghua was very mentally exhausted at the moment. Even if he had sufficient computing power to control such a large warship, there were too many enemies. Although firing was simple, to successfully hit the enemy, prediction and analysis of data were indispensable. Such a huge workload is weighing on Binghua, and even though she is a strong person standing at the top of the known universe, she can hardly support it. The worst-case scenario is not this, but there are already 2 purifier flagships leading these annihilators to bypass the Skyward Sword and rush towards Alals. The Eternal Ascended Ones have detected space fluctuations on the planet Elers, and the intelligent life on this planet refuses to perform the sublimation ceremony. In order to prevent this planet from being infected by the chaos virus in the future and becoming a breeding ground for the growth of chaos, the Eternal Ascended One decided to purify it. When the continuous beams of light appeared, the land of Alals was plunged into a sea of fire. At this moment, the people of Alals who were unwilling to leave their homeland finally understood what kind of disaster the Blazing Queen said was the catastrophe. It was a catastrophe that would destroy the world. No life could survive this judgment from the sky. Compared with other areas of Alals, the royal capital was also attacked by a purifier flagship. Under the purification ray, trees, flowers, houses, and the people of Alals were all covered in the blazing light. It was reduced to ashes in the torrent. The remaining millions of Alals people who lined up in a long queue and had not completed the transfer became the biggest victims of the purification beam. She watched her people being mercilessly annihilated by the light of purification. The anger and hatred in her heart made her grit her teeth tightly, and she wished she could immediately rush into the sky to fight the giant metal beast on the sky. But in the end, she was dragged into the wormhole by her personal guards. Almost as soon as they passed through the worm gate, the purification ray swept across. Without any mercy, those Alals people who were only one step away from hope were burned to ashes. Then the wormhole suddenly disappeared before the fire wave on the Alals star passed through. Some of the Alals people who were still on the Alals planet could only be burned to ashes by the purification beam in despair. On the other side, under the continuous purification rays from the purifier flagship, the shield of the Tianjian finally failed to hold up and was overloaded. The artillery fire from the outside bombarded the Tianjian's golden hull like a work of art mercilessly. At the same time, the Eternal Ascension battleship, which appeared for the first time outside the battlefield, entered the battlefield at this time. Its hull armor suddenly opened upward, revealing a mechanical warrior inside who had a body very similar to that of an angel. At this moment, the Alals people inside the Skyward Sword felt the trembling hull of the ship. They hugged each other and their families, praying in their hearts to the owner of the god's battleship, praying that they could survive successfully. Binghua also immediately activated the space jump that had been prepared for a long time. The giant blue crystal located in the center of the Tianjian hull fired a blue energy light towards the starry sky ahead, opening a huge space in the void. Crack! A faint blue energy glow appeared on the surface of the Tianjian, and then the huge hull was sucked into the space crack. Some battleships of the Eternal Ascendants followed closely and wanted to follow. Unfortunately, the space crack was not easy to enter. As soon as they entered, they were crushed and torn into pieces by the chaotic space itself. In the end, among the fleets of the Eternal Ascended Ones, only a few micro-light points whose entire bodies were enveloped in blue energy rushed into the space cracks. Then the space cracks began to close, completely cutting off the possibility of the Eternal Ascended One from the past. At this point, the skyward sword left the Alal's planetary system, leaving only the burning Alal star behind. A few light years away from the Alal star, the originally calm starry sky in the universe suddenly cracked, and then shattered with a crack, forming a giant vertical pupil-shaped space crack. A giant gold battleship with many signs of damage on its surface and some areas still emitting light black smoke squeezed out, followed by several light spots that were like dust compared to the battleship. Those who followed were none other than the high-sequence mechanical warriors specially prepared by the Eternal Ascended to encircle and suppress the Angel King this time. It almost integrates the most cutting-edge technology of the Eternal Ascended One. Even the body is a mysterious living metal, a super metal with many properties such as deformation, automatic repair, and polymerization ability. The Eternal Ascended One is specially prepared for small enemies with strong combat power. Its order is under the Destroyer and is called the Indestructible One. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 631. Boom. The sudden explosion caused Binghua, who was sitting on the throne to relieve the pressure of controlling the calculations of the Tianjian, to reopen his eyes. Immediately, the detection images around Tianjian were called up and placed in the void in front of Binghua. Only 5 beings with humanoid shapes, their bodies covered by a layer of smooth metal, and wings similar to those of angels appeared on the screen. They were destroying the damaged hull of the Tianjian at the moment. It seemed that I want to break into it. Seeing this, Binghua stood up from the throne. This was her car. It had never been as damaged as it was today since she started serving. Now these guys are continuing to destroy it, which is intolerable. One of the Indestructibles was shooting at the Tianjian's hull with a ray gun in his hand. It was visible to the naked eye that the high-strength alloy hull armor was slowly being chipped away. The other 4 Indestructibles were also doing the same thing. But suddenly a leg-wearing metal combat boot struck from the side, and with a bang, one of the Indestructibles attacking the Skyblade ship was kicked away 100 meters away. It was Binghua who rushed out of the Sky Sword. She was staring at these Indestructibles with her royal sword in hand. The anger of being besieged before was spurting out at this moment, as if she wanted to burn all these Indestructibles. Seeing the target of encirclement and suppression, the Angel King, appeared. The remaining 4 Indestructibles gave up the idea of continuing to scratch the heavenly sword, and surrounded Binghua in the blink of an eye. Looking at these metal creations, Binghua had no intention of communicating with them. He just needed to dismantle them all. The next moment, Binghua and the Indestructible moved together. Their figures moved slightly to avoid several unknown rays coming from them. Binghua knocked one of the Indestructibles away with a sword. However, she was also repelled by another Indestructible, and was unable to take the opportunity to make up for it with a sword. Then came the Indestructible's coordinated attack. Binghua was exhausted for a while and could not find a chance to counterattack. These Indestructibles were not weak in strength or flexibility. The most difficult thing for Binghua is that they are like a whole, and the attacks of each Indestructible are connected at just the right time. This means that even if Binghua has a stronger body and strength than them, he cannot defeat them immediately. However, Binghua quickly adapted to this attack rhythm and also formulated a battle plan. The micro-wormhole opened, and several streaks of red light suddenly shot out from the weapon's arsenal, forcing the indestructible to scatter to avoid the attack. Binghua stretched out his hand and pulled out a new weapon from the micro-wormhole, which was quite similar in appearance to the straight knife in the anti-micro-wormhole suit. However, its target is different. This sword was developed for information warfare. It is equipped with multiple information interference functions that can interfere with remote signal transmission and hinder communications. It was an unexpected work that was born when Binghua was studying the remote resurrection ability of the Devourer God. Its scope of application is very narrow, but for multiple enemies who rely on data and information sharing to fight, this is undoubtedly a big deal. Sure enough, after Binghua activated the interference algorithm inside the blade in his hand, a huge loophole immediately appeared in the cooperation of the indestructible. Binghua found the opportunity and the straight blade in his hand was filled with blazing high heat energy. He quickly slashed through the body of an indestructible, swept it aside with one kick, and turned around to block the sneak attack of another indestructible. With his free left hand, he drew out the 7-killing king sword from the void and activated the dark energy cutting. He slashed upward with his backhand, dividing its metal body into two parts, upper and lower. In an instant, the offense and defense were reversed, and the indestructible's perfect coordination was completely ruined by Binghua. This is the power of Binghua. As long as he finds an opportunity and uses targeted weapons or equipment, no matter how much advantage the enemy has, it will become an absolute disadvantage in an instant. The remaining 3 indestructibles soon followed in the footsteps of their companions and were easily dismembered by Binghua, taking less than a minute in total. When Binghua split the last indestructible in half and relaxed slightly, a strong force hit her back. Binghua turned around and swung out an energy slash that collided with the laser beam and exploded into a huge fireball in the air. I saw that the indestructible man that she had cut into 2 pieces a moment ago was now restored to its original state for some reason, and even the weapon had changed. Looking at the other indestructibles with his peripheral vision, Binghua's pupils narrowed slightly, and he saw that the shortened metal limbs of the indestructibles turned into a liquid-like substance, quickly rushing towards the nearest torso. After the polymerization, it quickly returned to its original appearance, and the wounds caused by the previous dark energy cuts have been restored to their original appearance. This level of recovery ability is to some extent more powerful than the god of the World Eater. Binghua gradually discovers the enemies she encounters. As technology and strength become higher and higher, the ability to heal or recover has almost become a standard feature of these civilizations. It seems that it is necessary for me to develop weapons targeting this characteristic, otherwise I am afraid that it will be very troublesome to face this kind of enemy in the future. Binghua flew around the Tianjian, followed by several recovered indestructibles who continuously fired energy rays to attack her. Of course, thinking would not hinder Binghua's dodge. It is better to say that multi-threaded operation is already regarded as the signature ability of an existence like Binghua. Otherwise, how can one calculate and drive the energy formula to fight the enemy at the same time? After circling the Tianjian a few times, Binghua swapped weapons with his left and right hands, and suddenly turned back. The blazing energy on the king's sword was like the breath transformed from the light of a star. At the same time, thunder also came at this moment, making a roaring sound. Ice Flower's speed increased instantly, and it passed over the body of the pursuing indestructible before he had time to react. The terrifying high heat energy caused him to be chopped in half again, and the wound was red, with high temperature solution dripping continuously. This time the indestructible's recovery was not as rapid as before. It seemed that the reshaping of the body was hindered by the terrifying heat at the wound. Seeing that the effective Binghua followed the same method, he cut off the remaining indestructibles one by one. Watching them continue to try to reshape their bodies due to the terrifying high fever left in the wounds, he knew their weaknesses. The recovery ability of the World Eater God is actually achieved by the short-term self-replication of countless microrobots that make up the body. Even if a part of the body is eroded and destroyed, the worst-case scenario is to simply abandon that part of the body. Therefore, although high fever is effective on him, it is far less effective than thunder power paralysis. As for the mechanical warriors of the Eternal Ascenders, their recovery is more focused on reshaping their bodies. They seem to be able to change at will and are difficult to destroy. Because as the high heat energy residue at the wound gradually cooled, the indestructible who was first injured by Binghua had completed reshaping his body and recovered from the injury that had cut him in half. Tisk, does this metal have some unknown activity? Because in Binghua's observation, the trace amounts of body matter of the indestructible that had been evaporated by the high heat of the flame bombardment's core actually recovered in a short period of time. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 632. However, just after it recovered and before it could make any other moves, the indestructible's body had several more flaming swords that continuously emitted terrifying heat, once again trapping it in an endless cycle of constant reshaping. Then Binghua tried thunder, dark energy erosion and the erosion energy of the islanders, as well as all kinds of known radiation energy including gamma rays, all tried on the indestructible. In the end, under the extreme high temperature and the destruction of various kinds of radiation, the metal body of the indestructible, which had not suffered much damage, finally could no longer support it. It first turned red all over, and eventually not only the wounds, but also the entire body turned into a liquid-like fluid, which fell to the ground with a sizzling sound of burning. Binghua didn't know when he created a void projection, and kept recording on it the reactions of the indestructible when encountering various energy erosions. At the same time, he also developed a strong curiosity about the metal material used to make the indestructible, because this metal is too powerful and has good resistance to most energies. In the end, these indestructibles were all turned into liquid and extremely tough metals under the destruction of ice flower. After confirming that there was no danger, they were sealed in the Tianjian by ice flower to prepare for the future research use. At the same time, after confirming that the Eternal Ascended One was not chasing after him, the Sky Sword launched another jump and arrived at the new Erol star. This planet, where intelligent life has not yet been born, will become the new home of Ilals from now on, and after this great transfer, the people of Ilals will become more united. Qi also began to order the Ilals army to expand around to clear out the safe zone, and then with the help of the Tianjian, various infrastructures quickly rose from the ground. Compared to Qi, who was busy, Binghua stood on the launch platform of the Tianjian, facing the breeze and looking down at the busy Ilals people below. Binghua is thinking about a very serious matter, that is, whether Ilals can escape the fate of being destroyed by the Eternal Ascended without his own help. In the end, after dozens of simulation calculations by Sky Sword, the result was despairing. If Ilals did not have his own guidance and Kai's rule, his civilization would have died when the Eternal Ascended One arrived. There are still many civilizations like this in the starry sky. They are like rats hiding in the darkness. As long as they are accidentally exposed to the light of the Eternal Ascender, there are only two ways to destroy them or become their slaves. Can go. But there is no fundamental difference between these two paths. The intelligent life after the sublimation ceremony can no longer be called an intelligent life at all. Their minds and bodies have long been firmly restricted in the cold bodies by the shackles transformed by Samilo's purification protocol. What is the difference between them and death after losing their freedom? Chloris and Errol's were also in a similar situation. If they hadn't sent the message asking for help, or they had something to do and didn't get over it at the time. If it were not me in the past, I would not have the ability to provide them with support in technological development. If all the above happened, Chloris might have been destroyed in the wave of chaotic bodies on the planet, turning into the nourishment of chaotic evolution and becoming the stepping stone for the destruction of the next civilization. And after more than 100 years of wandering in the starry sky, Binghua knew what he had seen in various civilizations. This starry sky does not have a stable environment like the known universe, and there is no Kamigawa pan-civilization alliance that has ever gathered them to form a whole to resist the insurmountable foreign enemies. Therefore, rather than the nominal protection of the known universe, they need the hand-to-hand support and protection of higher beings. The angel's concept of justice does not apply here. Kesha, when justice cannot be served, then only the powerful can give the weak a place. Since there is no room for the weak in this starry sky, let all the weak unite and form a whole to become strong. Only in this way can the weak have a place in this starry sky, and justice can have a chance to be reaffirmed. Binghua made a decision in her heart. She would not repeat the path of angel civilization in the known universe, but planned to open up a new path. I will stay in New Alals on the Sky Sword, and I want to go back to the places I have been to over the years. In order that the tragedy of Alals will not happen elsewhere, as the God who guides you, I need to make some decisions for the future of your civilizations that I have affected. Qi looked at his sister Binghua. Her tone of voice had never been as serious as it was today. Thinking of the millions of people who were annihilated by the light of purification, Qi felt a burst of sadness in her heart. She calmed down her emotions, and did not try to retain her sister Binghua as she did in the past. She nodded lightly to indicate that she understood. This made Binghua a little surprised, but after experiencing the crisis of civilization destruction, Kai's face was more determined and less relaxed than before, and Binghua was relieved. The first place Binghua went to after leaving Elleries was Markla, which is closest to New Elleries. There was a very special civilization that Binghua encountered after leaving Elleries more than 100 years ago. Makra, the entire planet is prosperous and peaceful. This is the country of wisdom and the best place to explore the truth of the universe. There are academies of various sizes located on the entire planet. Among them, the one with the greatest influence, the richest knowledge reserves, and the most powerful one is the Academy of Truth. More than 100 years ago, this college was still an unknown small college that could go bankrupt at any time. It was not until the emergence of a genius, Malik, that the fate of this college was changed. As soon as he joined the WDO, he put forward several knowledge theories that had a profound impact on world development and had a great impact on the existing knowledge system. At that time, it was common for colleges to attack each other. Often, in order to snatch a certain technological achievement, destroying rival colleges and absorbing their talents was the fastest way for the college to grow. Although these colleges are colleges in name, they are actually no different from some small civilized countries. They have their own military, territory, and administrative system. At that time, Malik relied on his genius mind to make close and distant enemies, and the strength of the Academy of Truth expanded extremely rapidly. His highly respected theory of knowledge supremacy and his pioneering cluster theory shocked a large number of college deans at the time. In the end, Malik spent 15 years, punching the internal opposition and kicking the external hostile party, all the way to sit on the throne of the strongest wise man in Malakra. The former enemies and neutrals turned into licking dogs one after another, crawling on the ground at the feet of this macho wise man. But the greatest wise man of Makra, who is about to become old, his greatest regret is not being able to see his teacher again and the many truths of the universe that have not yet been explored. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 633. After Marlock finished handling his routine matters and answered some students' questions, he returned to his research room. He conducts demonstration experiments day after day and then records valuable data, but today there is an uninvited guest in his laboratory. When Marlock saw the unfamiliar yet familiar figure, he wiped his eyes in disbelief, fearing that he was hallucinating. After Binghua felt someone entering the research room, he turned and looked towards the open door, and saw an old man with gray hair on his temples looking at him excitedly. After a while, Malik had calmed down from the excitement of meeting the teacher. Malik brought Binghua to the living room and drank tea across a wooden table. "Teacher, I haven't seen you in nearly 100 years, but you are still so beautiful. But I have become like this." Malik looked at his wrinkled palms and sighed. It can be said that seeing Binghua again, some of the regrets in Malik's heart have quietly dissipated. Sometimes people have such wonderful things, and it is a pity not to get them. When you get what you have always wanted, it becomes normal. This is the case with Marlock today. I walked around on Makra before coming to you, and I have to say that you did a great job and did not waste the knowledge I imparted to you. You have successfully made Makra into a whole, changed every aspect here, and made it truly a political system in which knowledge distinguishes superiority from inferiority, and innovation and the pursuit of knowledge are the national policy. Binghua's praise was well deserved. It can be said that Makla has truly put an end to war. Here, because of Makla, the Academy of Truth is the dominant family and controls almost all of Makla's resource allocation rights. But if one day a genius is born with higher intelligence and stronger abilities than Malik, then the Academy of Truth will lose this right to allocate resources. This is a system established by Malikla to prevent Makla from losing his innovative and enterprising spirit. It has been approved by the College Alliance, and the College Alliance will also serve as a supervisor to ensure that this resolution can be implemented forever. Afterwards, Marlock asked Binghua some questions that he didn't understand, just like a normal student and teacher. Until the end, Binghua told the purpose of coming to Markla. After listening to his teacher's story, Malok also understood the horror of the Eternal Ascended One and the Chaos Virus in the teacher's words, and he was also very clear about the threat they posed to Malikla. He also agreed with his teacher's desire to establish an alliance community that brought together many civilizations, and at the same time assured Binghua that Makra would support his teacher 100%. After Binghua was sure that Malok would support him, he did not plan to stay in Malok for a long time. However, before leaving, Binghua left behind technologies related to transforming warriors. Because Marlock is already quite old, if he does not undergo some physical transformation or strengthening, he may not be able to live much longer. Whether it was the teacher-student relationship between himself and Malikla, or his role as the leader of Malikla, he could not pass away due to a mere illness, otherwise there might be trouble when the subsequent civilized union was established. After that, Binghua went to Superstar without stopping, where there lived a kind of tall divine river creature, which they called themselves giants. Binghua's status there is very noble. He is the god of war and culture believed by the giants. After Binghua proposed civilized union with the giant king Taluo, he also successfully received Taluo's response. After that, Binghua went to 3 other civilizations, namely Fanshan Star, Xiao Star, Nerdic and other planets, and reached consensus with their leaders respectively. To say it is a consensus, it is better to say that Binghua's proposal to establish an alliance of civilizations is the best choice for these civilizations. After all, Binghua's strength lies there. And even Binghua, who is comparable to a god, needs to stay away from the edge for a while. The Eternal Sublimator and Chaos Virus can only be dealt with by forming a civilization alliance. Naturally, the leaders of these civilizations will not be blindly confident that they can deal with it alone. Therefore, these leaders agreed so readily when faced with the proposal of Binghua, a being who was comparable to a god in their eyes. It was also because they all respected Binghua from the bottom of their hearts, the god who had taught them knowledge and guided them. Almost a year has passed since Binghua returned to New Elleries, and the purpose of Binghua's trip has been successfully completed. In the conference hall of the Tianjian, there were 4 seats on both sides of a large long table, and on each seat sat an imposing being. There are generals who are full of the aura of conquering and killing on the battlefield, there are also old scholars who are full of scholarly aura, and a queen in full dress with a touch of majesty between her brows. There is also a strong man who exudes a rough and arrogant temperament, but is wearing complicated and gorgeous clothes, and a being who is 3 meters tall and looks like a giant. It can be said that this conference hall is gathering all kinds of beings at this moment. Present were the Queen, the Grand Commander, the Legion Commander, the Great Wise Man, the Blacksmith Master, the King, the Giant King and other high-level civilization officials. And the reason why they were able to sit here quietly without fighting was because they were all waiting for the goddess who summoned them to appear. Binghua walked out of the opened wormhole and sat on the leader's seat without hesitation, looking at everyone present with a faint smile. Thank you very much for coming to the Tianjian. I believe you all understand the purpose of calling you here. This starry sky is filled with many dangers, and if you are not careful, you may face catastrophe due to the whim of an advanced civilization. I believe that you all have a certain understanding of what happened to Elos before. Upon hearing this, the top leaders of all the civilizations present looked solemn. The overwhelming mechanical army and the huge fleet group leaping across the stars in the universe gave the leaders of the civilizations present a huge impact. Because among the civilizations present, except for Ilals, Chloris, Fanchengxing, and Makra, the remaining Xiao, Nerduk, Superstar, etc. have only begun to explore the universe and the stars. Although the scientific and technological strength of these civilizations affected by the ice bloom exceeds ordinary pre-nuclear and post-nuclear civilizations in some aspects, they have not yet entered the ranks of aerospace-level civilizations. Facing enemies from outside the Earth, they are completely unable to deal with them. Erols is a lesson learned from the past. Without the help of the goddess and the big transfer plan carried out by the Tianjian, it goes without saying that Erol's fate will be imagined by them. Arrive. In order to fight against the Eternal Ascended Ones and the Chaos Virus, we can only have the power to compete as a whole, and in order for each civilization to not be weak in the future war with the two, you must engage in the most in-depth cooperation. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 634. Hearing what Binghua said, everyone present became more energetic. The next matter was related to their own interests, and they must not be careless. Binghua looked at the reactions of everyone present and didn't find anything strange. Although these people all had great respect for her, they also represented their respective civilizations. First of all, the community we establish must have a general goal. I wonder if you have any suggestions. Binghua glanced at everyone present, and she spoke first. Goddess, your goal is the goal of us Ilal's people. Chloris is a subordinate of the goddess, and the sword pointed by the goddess is the enemy of Chloris. Krals, who was nearly 2.5 meters tall, was wearing a black military uniform and spoke calmly, but everyone could hear the enthusiasm for the goddess in his voice. Markla is a place that values scientific truth. We only need a stable place to conduct our own small research, and you can do whatever else you like. Marlock's words were very straightforward, but he still expressed his attitude. Goddess, after Fan Shenxing joins the community, can you lend me your king's sword for a while to study it? Seeing that everyone else was looking at him with evil eyes, Kocher quickly reduced the time to 1 day. Finally, Binghua nodded and asked the others to look away. Kocher, the forging master of Fanshan Star, saw that everyone was no longer hostile to him, and then he laughed a little embarrassedly, which really ruined his fierce temperament. I obey the command of the goddess. Giant King Tai Luo said in a muffled voice, his tone was short but powerful. The existence of Nadarga to this day is also due to your guidance, the goddess. On behalf of the Badal Alliance, I, Badals, am willing to serve the goddess from now on. Batters was wearing an outfit similar to a military uniform and a black cloak. He had an aesthetic appearance that was most in line with the normal Kamigawa creatures except for Chi and Malok. So far, the 7 worlds have no suggestions for the community's big goal, so the ball has circled and finally returned to Binghua's hands. You guys really, since you don't have any suggestions, let me tell you my suggestions. I am an angel, from the angel civilization of the known universe. We angels have established an order system called justice in the known universe. The principles adopted are to protect the weak, punish the evil, not interfere with the normal development of civilization, restrain arms races, and prohibit the launch of unfair wars. Binghua said a lot about justice and order, but when other people heard it, it shocked them greatly. What a great race! They actually take upholding the justice of the universe as their own responsibility. It is also a world that makes people yearn for. After Chizewa finished talking about the justice order, he made the following exclamation, which was unanimously recognized by other high-level civilization officials. Although these civilizations admire what the goddess's mother civilization has done, it is impossible for them to imitate it. And judging from the tone of the goddess's story, she does not 100% admire the justice order, and there must be some meaning in telling them this. Sure enough, the next moment Binghua spoke again, with inexplicable regret in his tone. Although I don't hate the righteous order, I can't say I agree with it all. But in a universe where justice and order exist, I don't hate her anyway. Moreover, the order of justice is not suitable for our current situation. It is too loose and cannot compete with the enemies we are about to face. We are a whole, so our interests naturally need to be consistent. From today on, the community we form is called a just world. Ilals, Makra, Chloris, Fanshan, Superstar, Red Star, and Nudargar civilization were unified and renamed the world. From now on, regardless of world, civilization, or race, you all must fight for a just world. Each world forms an elite legion, a mortal auxiliary army, and an expedition fleet. Establish an orbital defense system on the surface, a defense ring for the entire planet, and a full 3-dimensional defense system for the entire planetary system. Each elite legion is formed according to the combat style of the world and can be trained and cultivated on its own. Its technical support is jointly provided by the 2 worlds of Ilals and Chloris. Hearing this, everyone except Kechi and Krals showed a hint of surprise. Because before they participated in the meeting to form a just world, they had watched the war video between Ilals and the Eternal Ascended One. Among them, those of the Eternal Queen's bodyguards, who were 1 to 100, gave them a great shock. Their terrifying combat qualities, like superhuman senses, coupled with the terrifying combat power that can go head-on with the mechanical army of the Eternal Ascended Ones, these people were shocked to see. Just keep your mouth watering. Now, according to the wishes of the goddess, each world must form its own elite legion. Please understand that it is a legion, not a squad or a battle group. What is the concept of a legion? It is a large combat group that can fight alone far away from the homeland, with a unit of measurement of 10,000 people. They have seen the elite legion of Ilals. Although Chloris has not seen them fighting the enemy with their own eyes, the uniform power armor and the super strong man with an average size of more than 2 meters are undoubtedly powerful proof of their strength. Only the giant King Tailuo was able to resist the elite army's technology, but he also knew that what the goddess mentioned personally was not simple, and he planned to form an army after he returned to see how good it was. After Binghua finished talking about the military aspect, it was the turn of science and technology. Due to its special nature, the world of Makra will serve as a new technology experimental development center for the world of justice in the future, and I will open part of the angel database to it. Each world can send scientific research teams to the world of Makra for study and exchange. Hearing this, Malik smiled from ear to ear. It was his life dream to see the teacher's angel database, but he didn't expect that it would unexpectedly come true now. The others looked at Marlock with envy. This old man would probably be able to ride on their heads and shit in the future. Then Binghua looked at Kocher again, and when he saw this, Kocher quickly straightened his sitting posture. Fanshan planet is rich in mineral resources and is very suitable for development as a forge world. I will personally guide you in building a large-scale foundry and orbital dock. Your task is to understand the manufacturing process and technology of starships as quickly as possible. We cannot be trapped on the Earth forever. We need to step into the starry sky as soon as possible, unite more civilizations, and strengthen the power of a just world. Originally, he was still happy that Fan Shenxing had become an important part of the world of justice, but then Xer suddenly felt his shoulders sinking, and something called responsibility was pressing on him. After that, Binghua made plans for several worlds such as Superstar, Nudagar, Ilals, and Chloris. The plan was to speed up infrastructure construction and restore civilized production and vitality. This makes Chi, Krolls, Badals, and Taylor a little disappointed, because they did not get the resources and technology of the goddess like Makra and Fanshan. But soon the goddess's words filled their hearts with fighting spirit. The world of casting and scientific and technological experiment development are not static. If the world you are in has the potential to become one of the two, it can become a new world of casting and technology at any time. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 635. The establishment of the just world means that Binghua will no longer be alone from now on. When facing the Eternal Ascended One again, he will no longer have to fight alone. Of course, since there are advantages and disadvantages, Binghua also has the obligation to ensure the future stability and interests of the worlds that respect her as the leader. But the most important thing at the moment is to improve the strength of these civilizations, otherwise everything will be empty talk. The first is the construction of elite legions. This is what the top leaders of each civilization are most concerned about, and it is also the thing that can see results the fastest. First of all, Chloris and Erols began to share their skills in transforming warriors, hoping to combine their respective strengths to make the elite legions of their worlds stronger. At the same time, in addition to the scientific research world Markla, the other 6 worlds have sent a large scientific research team to Markla for technical exchanges and learning. After Binghua opened some permissions to the database to Makra, he left New Ilals and rushed to Fanshan. He planned to discuss with the forging master Kocher in person and design a large orbital dock located in the outer orbit of Fanshan. For this reason, Binghua opened the technology of the material printer to the foundry world Fanshan. Kocher was happy for several days. It was a thing that the Chloris people called a god's machine. It could convert a civilizations. It's a scary thing to increase production capacity by several levels. Before Binghua and Kocher arrived at Fanshan planet, Fanchengxing had already received the news that Fanshan planet had been merged into the Justice world and would be developed as a forging world in the future. Most Fanshan people are indifferent to this. Only high-level officials and some forging masters can understand how much information it contains. Just when they were puzzled and angry about Kocher's behavior of merging Fanshan into the world of justice without consulting them, the large orbital shipyard and the giant surface assembly workshop, as well as the formulas of more than a dozen new metal alloys and other ancillary technologies, immediately made these people change their minds. Therefore, when Binghua arrived at Fanshan Star, he received a grand welcome ceremony from Fanchengxing. The tour vehicle, which was more than 10 meters long and 8 meters wide, was transformed from a large platform carrier vehicle. It was full of heavy industrial technology. Binghua looked at the Fanshan people standing on both sides of the broad avenue and looked at her curiously, and smiled back. Is that the goddess? She is so beautiful. That's for sure. Look at the wings behind her. They feel so sacred. Just as the Fanshan people, who were mostly a little dark-skinned, were praising the beauty of the goddess, Binghua finally managed to make it to the end of the welcome ceremony. In order to more efficiently complete the blueprint he formulated next, Binghua asked Kocher to reject various welcome ceremonies planned by the top management of Fanshan Star. Kocher also knew that the current planning of the orbital dock was the most urgent matter at present, so he also called together all the forging masters in Fanshan planet. When Binghua saw that everyone was here, he stopped delaying and started explaining the construction and structure of the orbital dock as well as its working process. None of the people present were newbies. They knew very well the huge benefits that the establishment of an orbital dock would bring, and everyone listened very seriously. After several months, Binghua had said everything that needed to be said, and the rest required these forging masters to carry out practical operations to find out their own shortcomings. Moreover, Binghua also opened up some of the computing power allocation rights of the Tianjian supercomputer to it, allowing the forging masters of Fanshan Star to conduct simulation operations before construction to reduce the possibility of errors during the actual construction process. In the past few months, the other 6 worlds have also undergone considerable changes. The first is the change of flags. A flag representing the righteous world has been raised next to the flag of one's own world. The flag of the world of justice consists of a red background with gold patterns. In the middle is a pattern of a sword with wings spread upside down, surrounded by countless stars. The meaning of it is also very simple. The sword hanging alone represents the goddess Binghua, and the stars dotted with it represent countless worlds. Together they make up the world of justice, and neither of them can exist without the other. At the formation meeting of the justice world, if Binghua does not come forward to serve as the leader of the justice world, but chooses to choose one of the 7 worlds as the speaker, then the final outcome will definitely be that everyone will scatter. Because the 7 worlds that form the justice world do not think that each other can crush themselves, it is simply impossible for these beings who are leaders in each world to recognize a guy with the same status as themselves as their boss. That's why Binghua stepped forward to serve as the leader of the world of justice, and was called a goddess by the world under her command. And as Binghua is called the goddess, the number of believers in Binghua in various worlds has begun to increase, slowly squeezing the living space of local religions. Instead of choosing to stop it, the leaders of various civilizations have a tacit understanding behind the scenes to promote it, as if they want to unify the world's religions and put them under their own control. The foundry world Fanshengxing is already on the right track, and it only takes time to test their manufacturing capabilities. Binghua then turned his attention to the scientific research world Makra. Makla has also undergone drastic changes in the past few months. Makla did not immediately study the high-end technology in the Angel database or other things. Instead, he used his own wise brain to compile a large amount of theoretical knowledge and technical principles in the Angel database into a volume and spread it widely in Makra, rapidly raising the upper limit of Makra's knowledge level. Similarly, the exchange of modified warriors between Elaris and Chloris also yielded results. A new prototype of modified warriors emerged that took into account the powerful physique of the Chaos Hunters and the superhuman senses and agility of the Eternal Queen's personal guards. Although it combines the advantages of the two, it is still inferior to the Chaos Hunter and the Eternal Queen's bodyguard in both aspects, but it is more balanced in all aspects. Its prototype body comes from Nudarga, and is Baidalga, the descendant of Baidals. Baidals is very satisfied with the strength of his child Baidalga after being strengthened by the transformed warriors and becoming the prototype body. Due to the perennial wars in the world of Nudarga, Batters was better at frontal large-core wars than various surprise attacks and beheadings during the Unification War. It is precisely based on this record of defeating all opponents head-on and overwhelming everyone. Only then can Batters secure his position as the commander-in-chief of the Nudargar world. Currently, in addition to forming a reformed warrior unit named Baidal Legion, Badargar is using Makra's various technologies to upgrade and transform the world of Nudargar, which was almost in ruins. In the Superstar world, the planet where giant King Talugo is located has no foreign enemies on the entire planet because of the giant's physical strength. As a result, Superstar's technological development has been slow, and the weapons used by its army are still cold weapons. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 636. After seeing the Tianjian, a super battleship that can soar across the Sea of Stars, and the Academy City of Makra, which is full of wisdom and enterprising atmosphere, everything is extremely advanced. Tyro had to admit that sometimes a wise mind was just as important as a strong body. He was currently sending a large number of smart people from the superstar giants to Makra, hoping that Makra would cultivate more scientific research talents for the superstar world. In order to change the situation where superstar is the most backward among the 7 worlds. King Qiyao and Giant King Tyro had the same idea. With the help of Chloris and Ilal's world, Qiyao also completed the prototype body transformation warrior of his own world. His name was Magduk Qiyao. He is the crown prince of Xiao Kingdom. After special debugging, Qiyao world finally felt that the macho figure of the Chaos Hunter was more suitable for the combat style of its own army. Of course, it also absorbed some of the characteristics of the Eternal Guard. The reason why he chose to use the Crown Prince to cultivate the prototype of the Transformation Warrior was because King Qiyao made a choice for the stability of the world. If other members of the royal family or outsiders are allowed to gain such powerful power, it is likely to undermine the stability of the current kingdom in the future. Therefore, King Xiao Mianjin Xiao chose his child to transform the prototype warrior body, and the result did not disappoint him. His own child has undergone a radical change. Whether it is strength or wisdom, it has exceeded the limits of mortals and reached the superhuman realm. King Qiyao has made up his mind. As long as the time is right, King Qiyao plans to pass the throne to Magduk Qiyao, completely stabilizing the power system of Qiyao world and preventing the people below from coming into contact with other worlds. This gives rise to some thoughts that should not be had. Chloris is launching a final counter-attack against the chaos body of his home star, in order to completely drive the chaos virus out of his home star within 10 years, and then begin a long period of recuperation. Among the 7 worlds that make up the Justice world, Chloris has the smallest population, the smallest army, and a harsh environment. It is the only world whose home planet is still being invaded by alien creatures. However, the moment he joins the Justice world, Chloris is no longer alone. Binghua is working on building a fast channel to connect the 7 worlds, and he believes that he will soon receive assistance from other worlds. Binghua thought about the fast lane, and in addition to large battleships with long-range jump capabilities, only Angel's Stargate network better met his needs. Binghua plans to copy the method used by Angels to expand the Order of Justice in the Chaos Star territory, which is to build stargates wherever they go for rapid transfer of materials and deployment of troops. Ilal's is not much better than Chloris, because the Ilal's people are the only world among the 7 worlds that have lost their home planet and are currently rebuilding their homeland. At the same time, as an important military component of Erel's, the Eternal Guard suffered heavy losses in the war with the Eternal Ascended Ones, and could not recover at all in just a few decades. So despite the fact that the Justice world is now composed of 7 worlds, there are only 4 worlds with complete combat capabilities: Superstar, Fanshan, Xiao, and Nudarga, plus a weak Makra scientific research world. After everything was planned, Binghua did not sit idle, even if most things were solved by the leaders of the 7 worlds. However, there is still a lot of work that requires approval for various material applications, technical assistance, etc. This is still a just world with only 7 worlds today. If there are more worlds to manage in the future, Binghua will feel that in addition to handling government affairs every day, I'm afraid there's no need to do anything else. Therefore, Binghua began to build an intelligent system with huge computing and processing capabilities that could solve complex tasks to maintain the basic operation of the Justice world in the future. Moreover, there happens to be a celestial supercomputer beside Binghua who is very suitable for this job, that is, the Tianjian computing cloud, although this will weaken the upper limit of his combat power to a certain extent. but for the development of a just world, this is a sacrifice that must be made, and the personal dark plane computer Binghua was successfully developed decades ago. After decades of information calculation and collection, Binghua's personal dark plane computer already has certain auxiliary computing functions, which can alleviate Binghua's computing pressure during battle to a certain extent. Moreover, as a high-level leader of the angelic civilization, he is well aware of the importance of celestial supercomputing to the development of civilization. Although the main job of Tianjian Computing Cloud in the future is to maintain the operation of the righteous world, it can also be used to enhance its own computing power in emergencies. Moreover, Binghua intends to build a new celestial supercomputer in the center of the justice world after it develops and expands. Its scale will be equal to or exceed Kesha's treasure house of sacred knowledge and the large clock of the super seminary. At this point, the world of justice has entered a period of stable development. Everything is extremely peaceful, with no external invaders and no internal rebellion to support it. Driven by ultra-high productivity and supported by the vast energy derived from stars, people in all worlds can live a good life as long as they are not lazy. The oppression of capital and the exploitation of the upper class have been reduced to a minimum under the power and interference of Binghua, the absolute leader and goddess. It can be said that the people of the seven worlds have never thought that life can be so prosperous and full of hope for the future. The first 100 years of the just world, counting from the year when the just world was established, is exactly 100 years to now, so each world is called that. The first 100 years passed quickly with the rapid development of each world. In this 100 years, the seven worlds quickly entered the ranks of aerospace civilization from pre-nuclear and post-nuclear civilizations. Although in some aspects, they were unable to develop to aerospace-level civilization alone, compared to its existence. But we finally have a ticket to interstellar war, which is not something that pre-nuclear civilizations who always need to worry about the invasion of extraterrestrial civilizations can compare with. At the same time, various worlds have also established internal colony systems within the planetary system centered on their respective worlds within 100 years, and their plans are exactly the same. For example, the world of Nudarga still refers to its home planet, the second world of Nudarga refers to the colony closest to the planet Nudarga, and so on. At the same time, elite legions in various worlds have also been formed. For example, the Betel Legion in the Nudarga world has 100,000 regular Betel warriors and more than 100 warships of various sizes and specially customized equipment produced by the Forge world. In addition, there are more than 10 million standing Nudargar regular troops equipped with light and heavy firepower. Of course, with the powerful Betel army in front, these regular troops will inevitably be called the Auxiliary Army. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 637. The world of Nudarga is not a special case, the same is true for the world of Chloris. 91 years ago, the Chloris people successfully eliminated the power of the chaos virus on their home planet. Chloris then began a long period of recuperation, and began to recover from the problems such as the sharp decline in population and the desolation of the land from the invasion of the chaos virus to the end. During this period, Chloris vigorously encouraged fertility, developed new living spaces, and the level of science and technology was also rapidly improving. By the first 100 years, Chloris' population had tripled. The Chaos Hunters also expanded their army to 150,000, and the number of Chloris regular troops reached millions. However, compared with Nudarga world, Chloris world can no longer continue to expand its military strength in a short period of time, and even needs to lay off part of its army to ensure the number of young people among the people. Nudarga, on the other hand, can continue to expand, and even double its military strength, without having much impact on society. This is the difference between the two. The other worlds are not much different. Only Makra and Fanshan are special. As a scientific research world, Makra stopped increasing the number of legions after establishing an elite legion of about 10,000 people. Then they began to vigorously study the autonomous combat robots deduced from the wreckage of the Eternal Ascended, and have already achieved certain results, forming a fully equipped intelligent control army to cooperate with Makra's elite army. In the forging world of Fanshengxing, Fanshengxing prefers super heavy exoskeleton combat armor compared to Makra's obsession with autonomous combat weapons. Unlike other elite legions that focus on fast and efficient combat strategies, Fanshengxing's elite legion, the King of War, is equipped with a large-scale exoskeleton-powered armor. It is more than 3 meters tall and is equipped with a rotating rapid-fire cannon, a plasma flamethrower, a large half-body shield equipped with a force field shield on one side, and a cluster particle cannon on each shoulder. The shoulder cannon can also be replaced with other firepower output equipment. The Fanshan people have designed this armor in a modular manner. The weapons and equipment on various parts of the body can be replaced to suit different environments and fierce battlefields. Alals has also undergone tremendous changes in the past 100 years. As one of the people closest to Binghua, she has received a lot of technical guidance from Binghua. Almost all of the Eternal Guards are equipped with floating flying wing technology reverse engineered from the remains of mechanical warriors, and have a certain degree of cross-terrain and space combat capabilities. And because of the exchange with Chloris, the Eternal Guard is no longer composed entirely of women, but there are also male Eternal Guard warriors. With the complementary advantages and disadvantages of the two, the combat effectiveness is more powerful than before. After 100 years of development, not only Binghua, but also the leaders of several major worlds, all believed that it was time to start an expedition abroad to develop new worlds and at the same time absorb more civilizations into the world of justice. The first goal of the Alal's people is to expand in the direction of their original home planet, intending to expedition all the way back to their home star and regain their homeland. The goal of the other major worlds is to be the closest world. The goal is to completely connect the universes and galaxies controlled by each other to form a true whole, instead of being able to communicate with each other only through stargates like now. So in the 105th year of the Justice World, what was later called the First Expedition began. Various worlds began to mobilize their forces and organize battleships to prepare to take their first step into this mysterious universe. Binghua looked down on all this development like a real god. The launch of the expedition was something he acquiesced to, because it was something that had to be done sooner or later. Nowadays, all civilizations are recuperating and becoming better than before. It is the best time to take the opportunity to increase the connections between the worlds of the just world. And it's not like Binghua has done nothing in the past 100 years. Micro-star drive technology has finally ushered in a breakthrough, with the assistance of energy solidification, mass-to-energy conversion, energy compression, and other technologies. The ice bloom has been able to initially compress the star's volume to 90% of its original size without reducing the energy of the star itself. Although it is not too stable and requires a compression ring covering the entire star to accomplish this feat, it is a breakthrough from scratch. It indicates that stellar miniaturization technology will become a reality in the near future. At the same time, Binghua also had the idea of dark matter. Although in the known universe, due to abundant stellar radiation and physical light energy conversion technology, God-making civilizations do not have to worry about energy issues. Compared with the energy benefits brought by dark matter, most civilizations use it crudely, that is, as dark matter bombs, which are often used to explode planets and cause planetary extinction. Angel deeply feels that the power of this weapon is very uncontrollable, and the threshold for mastering it is not high. As a result, many aerospace-level civilizations have mastered dark matter bomb technology. This is undoubtedly very dangerous, if one day the civilizations within the righteous order dislike each other and throw dark matter bombs at each other. When Angel receives the news, he may have no choice but to go to the scene to collect the bodies, so Angel explicitly prohibits his civilization from developing such weapons of mass destruction. However, what Binghua chose to study dark matter was pursuing its destructive power. Theoretically, as long as there was enough dark matter, even the strongest metal of the angelic civilization would be wiped out by its annihilation reaction. Coincidentally, this annihilation reaction is very suitable for Binghua, that is, it can neutralize the positive matter in reality. Except for photons, everything in the explosion of dark antimatter will be annihilated. The reason why Binghua studies this is to find a way to mass produce it quickly, and at the same time, use it as a warhead to load it into the ammunition of the standard equipment of elite legions in various worlds. This can increase the destructive power of each world legion to an exaggerated level. Even if they encounter the Eternal Ascended One, they will still be worthy of it. Under the special bullets equipped with dark matter warheads, the Eternal Ascending One's solid metal body will also be torn apart by the bullets like a flesh and blood body. However, this research has not yet produced any breakthrough results and can only be used as one of the weapon development technology options for future elite legions. In the few months after the expedition began, everything went smoothly for all civilizations. They did not encounter any dangers during the expedition. However, various worlds discovered many planets with extremely rich resource reserves. The expeditionary forces on these worlds did not stop here, but continued to move forward after marking these planets as resource worlds on the star map. These superhuman warriors shouted the same slogan and believed in the same goddess. Any enemy who dared to appear in front of them would crawl at their feet. They believed so firmly. Everything is for the justice of the world and the goddess. Super Seminary Angel Binghua. Author, Shifeng Si Wang. Chapter 638. The First Legion of the Chloris Expedition consists of 20 Chaos Hunter chapters, each with a strength of 5,000 Chaos Hunters, followed by 1,000,000 Chloris defense forces, and large and small there are more than 100 small warships, forming a huge fleet. This is the expedition fleet of Chloris. In order to connect with the nearest world of New Alals, Chloris launched this expedition despite the opposition of some people in Chloris. They have now left the Chloris planetary system for more than a year, during which time they have discovered more than a dozen planets that are extremely rich in resources. This made the opposition voices within Chloris world gradually subside, because resources are precious at any time, and they can be exchanged with other worlds for countless good things. However, Krals's expedition encountered the first obstacle in his expedition today, which was his old rival Chaos Virus. In front of the expedition fleet, there is a group of biological fleets wandering in the universe, and a nearby planet that is obviously infected by the Chaos Virus suddenly enters the fleet's optical detection range at the same time. Commander, should we bypass these biological fleet groups? Inside the bridge of the Chaos-class strategic cruiser, the flagship of the Chloris Expedition Fleet Group, the officer responsible for information collection asked Chloris, who was sitting in the command position on the bridge like a giant. No, just order all the cruisers to rush up and destroy them. Today is different from the past. Now we are the hunters and they are the prey. And have you forgotten the concept of a just world? Have you forgotten what the goddess taught us? In order to unite all the weak people in the universe, and in order for all the weak people to survive in this cruel universe, we Chloris are willing to remove all obstacles ahead for the goddess. The deafening voice of Kroll's speech made some of the Kroll's people present who still couldn't understand Kroll's decision suddenly wake up. They are now fighting for a just world. This glorious mission is an unprecedentedly ambitious goal. That is to turn everything they see into a part of the world of justice and become an absolute barrier to protect the weak. Chloris was saved from despair by the goddess 100 years ago. Today, the living environment of the Chloris people is not much different from the utopia in people's imagination before. Now they, Chloris, have to do what the goddess once did to them, which is to bring the flame of hope to the world that was infected by the Chaos Virus and fell into despair. Let the people there live the same beautiful life as Chloris world, and let it become a beautiful world where everyone can have enough food, clothing, and live and work in peace and contentment. This is the duty and obligation of the Chloris people as subordinates of the goddess, and it is also the goal of moving forward in the future. Under the order of Commander Krolls, the Chloris Expedition Fleet Group, which was still maintaining cruising speed, the cruisers of all levels belonging to the battle sequence accelerated violently and broke away from the fleet group. Like a pack of wolves that had seen their prey, they headed towards the small biological fleet pounced. The biological fleet also discovered these uninvited guests who disturbed their taste of despair and blood food. They made special frequency calls to each other that only they could understand, and rushed towards the approaching Chloris Expedition Fleet Group. The Chloris attack fleet began to spread out in the universe, like a giant open pincer, clamping on the biological fleet, splitting it in half in an instant, making it impossible to take care of both the head and the tail. Then they began to annihilate the surrounded biological warships, and the forward warships delayed the attack of the biological fleet outside the encirclement. For a time, the war was extremely intense. It was also the first time that the Chloris people fought against the biological fleet of Chaos Virus in the universe. The commander of the fleet only arranged his troops according to his previous command and combat experience. But I didn't expect the effect to be unexpectedly good. The large number of small biological combat weapons released by the biological fleet were firmly blocked by the dense close air defense array on the cruise ship. But even so, several warships were still able to break through the near-air defense array and enter the interior of the ship by those biological warfare weapons. There was also a Void-class cruiser that was caught by a biological battleship, and half of the hull was bitten into pieces. Waiting until the other biological battleships were destroyed, the Chaos Hunter warriors and defenses inside this nearly scrapped Void cruiser, the army is still fighting to the death with the chaotic creatures that have invaded the interior of the ship. It wasn't until other cruisers arrived for support that the combined two were separated, and all the surviving compatriots inside the Void cruiser, which was only half left, were rescued. This sudden encounter ended with the complete destruction of the Chaos creature fleet, the loss of one Void cruiser by the Chloris Expeditionary Fleet, and the damage to a dozen cruisers. While other Chlorithians were celebrating this hard-won victory, Chlorith, who was sitting on the bridge of the Chaos-class cruiser, was not satisfied with the outcome of the war. Because despite having an absolute advantage, the expedition fleet also paid such a heavy price to annihilate the chaotic creature fleet. If he encounters a larger biological fleet group next time, Chloris may be at risk of being annihilated, just as the goddess said. Relying on the power of one world alone to fight against these powerful beings that have existed in the universe for countless years is tantamount to hitting an egg against a stone. Thinking of this, Chloris becomes more and more eager to open up regular channels with other worlds, so that when Chloris encounters a large group of biological fleets, he can get help from other worlds, and the pressure on Chloris world will be reduced. Great relief. On the Tatal Star, piercing sirens resounded throughout the city, and countless ferocious monsters fell from the open belly of the giant monster in the sky. Their speed is comparable to the fastest beasts on Teldal Star, and their strength is even more extraordinary. Astrid saw with her own eyes that several fully armed regular soldiers were cut into pieces by a monster with its sickle-shaped blade feet. Peace. Astrid could only turn around and run forward, and kept running, but the roar of the monster behind was like a nightmare, never far away from her. There were fewer and fewer Tidar compatriots around her, and at the same time, pitiful screams still sounded in her ears from time to time, until Astrid tripped to the ground under the broken building debris. A bloody gash was cut into her calf by the sharp debris. It was very painful, and Astrid wanted to cry immediately. But she held it back forcefully, but the tears couldn't help but flow down her cheeks because of the pain. Who can come and save me? Help me! Astrid's heart kept calling for help from the unknown existence, but a shadow gradually covered him, and Astrid's body suddenly stiffened with extreme fear. The chaotic creature stared at the extremely weak Astrid lying on the ground with its pair of cold-blooded vertical pupils, enjoying the feeling of its prey falling into extreme fear. But at this moment, a huge rumbling sound suddenly came from the sky, and flaming meteors fell from the sky one after another, and began to rapidly slow down when they were about to hit the ground. One of them landed a few meters away from Astrid. The chaos body was attracted by the sudden appearance and did not kill its prey immediately. With a strange sound of gas leaking out, a door on the strange metal object that was narrow at the top and wide at the bottom opened forward and crashed to the ground. After only hearing a few roaring gunshots, Astrid felt a warm liquid pouring on her body. But at this moment, Astrid didn't have my mind to pay attention to these, because there were 5 extremely tall people, all wrapped in metal armor, without any trace of them exposed. They were like giant figures rushing out of the special metal creation. One of the armor giants came to her and stretched out his big metal hand that could easily cover her entire head. An unknown language came from his head, but the electronic translation that followed soon followed. Astrid understood what the giant meant, and she immediately felt extremely relieved. "Civilian, you are safe." Astrid stretched out her arms, which were too slender compared to the giant hands of the armor giant, and stood up again with the help of the giant. When the giant saw Astrid's severely injured calf, without saying a word, he stretched out his thick metal arms to pick up Astrid by the waist and sent her into the metal creation they had descended on the earth. However, Astrid soon fell asleep due to the double exhaustion and fright in her mind and body, and her consciousness fell into darkness.